or Nay Show with Alex V. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex V.
Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Yay or Nay Podcast is the address to the Twitter page. There are a lot of Yay or Nay questions up there for you. I believe I have the Twitter page fixed now, so there are a bunch of questions up there. I'll be giving you the results at some point this week on a whole bunch of questions, including some previous ones that did get finished. I just never really got around to getting those completed and knocked out. I probably should have done that a while back, but again, because I was having problems with the Twitter page, it took me a minute in order to be able to get everything set up to where we could do this the way it's supposed to be done. Again, with Yay or Nay questions up on our Twitter page at Yay or Nay Podcast. Again, the address to the Twitter page. Okay, so yesterday, a lot of football got played. There were, some games that are important, some games that weren't really. There were some interesting ones as well. A lot of interesting things happened yesterday. We're going to get into a little bit of that today as well. Let's start off with the first game here. So I'm looking at the Bears over the Giants. Look, this game is what I expected. The Bears were supposed to beat the Giants. I didn't know they would beat them as handily as they did. I did predict, however, that the Bears would beat the Giants. They should beat the Giants. They did beat the Giants. The score of that game ended up being 29-3. Patriots over the Jaguars. This is the way the Patriots have been winning against bad teams all year long. 50-10. That's a very decisive victory. That's the way the Jaguars should be getting beat. Look, if you're a good team, you should be beating bad teams and beating them in a big way. Patriots are definitely doing that this year. Great job by the Patriots. Good victory. Way to come back after a 2-week slide. Rams, Ravens. Rams struggling. Ravens playing and basically, again, playing in games and competing in games they have no business competing in. Rams, not so impressed with the Rams. I'm telling you right now, they are looking like a one-and-done team. If it wasn't for the fact that the NFC looks so weak to me as far as anybody being dominant, it's going to be up for grabs in regards to who actually can come out of the NFC, because I don't see a lot of strength in the teams that are going to end up in the playoffs for the NFC. The Rams started off hot, looked hot, but now you're looking at them, and every week it seems like they're just finding a way to win, barely. Odell Beckham seems like he's the savior over the last 5-6 weeks. He's looked good. He's made critical catches. And let's face it, he was not the problem in Cleveland, but I have been saying that all along. But he has been important to the Rams. He's going to continue to be important to the Rams. But their quarterback play is really, really the Achilles heel for the Rams. But I will say this, and then I'll move on to the next one. I know that because of the trade that was made in regards to the Rams making the quarterback swap that they did with the Detroit Lions, I know that a lot of people think Matthew Stafford was supposed to be the answer for the Rams, and they were immediately supposed to be Super Bowl or bust. I don't understand where that pressure comes from, except from the national media making up pressure that actually doesn't exist. It doesn't look to me like the organization is looking at it this way. Again, national media likes to flare up drama where there is none, because if you're being realistic and if you're looking at this from a proper perspective, yes, Matthew Stafford comes in. Maybe the Rams improve this year, but I don't think anybody said go to the Super Bowl or bust. Improve, you need to do. Improve, they have done, but I believe next year would be the year where you got another draft under your belt and you maybe make some more free agency moves where you find deficiencies in this particular season. And then with Stafford having a second year under his belt, under a new system, then you could maybe start to apply a little bit of pressure. But I find it funny that the national media thinks that Stafford comes in and first year, new coach, and a new system, all of a sudden he's supposed to take a team to the Super Bowl with a bunch of players he's never played with before. So again, I don't believe the hype. I don't believe what the national media is saying, and I know the national media, they love to do this. They love to create drama where there is none. They love to tell you there's pressure when there is none, because I don't believe it exists. I believe the Rams were looking to improve. They were looking to get as far as they can get, but next year will be the big push, and you're going to expect more out of Stafford next year with a full year under his system and an off season to be able to get better acquainted with the system and be better prepared to play a full-fledged season under the new system. All right, now, Bucks and the Jets. Buccaneers, they trailed the whole game. I mean, they trailed the whole game. The Jets were playing out of their minds, and every now and then you get a bad team that does that, and the Jets were playing out of their minds. They outplayed the Bucks most of the game. Buccaneers come back fourth quarter and win 28-24. But again, two things. A, the Buccaneers are exposed for the bad team I've said they are. I said they're an average team. They were not a Super Bowl champion last year. You could put an asterisk next to that Super Bowl victory, and they were not as good as everybody's been saying. National media fell in love with them, wanted you to believe they were great. They're good, not great. Again, good, not great, which means average, okay? Which means average. So with that being said, I'm not surprised that the Buccaneers had a hard time playing against the New York Jets, because the Buccaneers are not the Super Bowl champs or the repeat champs that everybody wants you to believe they are. Antonio Brown got into an argument, we all know about that, with Coach Arians. Coach Arians told him to get out, and then the big scene that everybody has seen a million times on video took place, and Antonio Brown is gone, and he's no longer a Buccaneer. Okay, great. Does not mean that the Buccaneers were going to win the Super Bowl, even if Antonio Brown and the incident that took place yesterday didn't happen, because the Buccaneers were never going to be the NFC champs on their way to the Super Bowl. I made that big, bold prediction at the beginning of the season, just like I made the one about the Chiefs not going back to the Super Bowl, and I am going to be correct. Because, again, the Buccaneers were never a Super Bowl champ to begin with, and they were never, in my opinion, again, going against the national media, they were never the odds-on favorite to be the Super Bowl champs this year. They barely beat the Jets 28-24. Falcons, Bills. Bills did what they're supposed to. Again, national media, they love to give knee-jerk reactions. Now, all of a sudden, they're talking about the Bills being a powerhouse. You beat the Falcons. Congratulations. You beat a below-average team. Bengals, Chiefs, shootout. Great game. Sometimes the Bengals look good. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with the Bengals. That's the way it's been all year long. Yesterday was one of those days. Bengals beat the Chiefs 34-31. Keep in mind, though, they beat the Chiefs, a team that, again, for this great vaunted defense that the national media wants you to believe exists, where was it? Where is it every week? Why are they always getting scored on in high clips? Why is it that this defense can't stop anybody, but the national media keeps telling you how great this defense is? I'm a little confused. 34-31, Bengals beat the alleged great defense and the greatest quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes, in yesterday's game. Titans blew up the Dolphins. I knew the Titans would win. I didn't think they were going to take care of the Dolphins the way they did. Very impressive fashion, 34-3. Titans, again, finding ways to win, minus their number one star, minus their top wide receiver, and they still continue to win. Congratulations to the Titans. Colts losing to the Raiders. Shouldn't have happened. I don't know how it happened. I haven't even seen any highlights of the game, to be honest. But when I looked at the score yesterday, I was shocked. Raiders, that is clearly an upset over the Colts, 23-20. Chargers blowing up the Broncos. Big deal. I'm tired of the Justin Herbert talk. Folks, he's average. He's not great. Maybe he will be great, but right now he is average. He is not great. So when I listen to the national media talk about how great he is and how they want to see him against this quarterback and matched against that, folks, if he was that great, he wouldn't have been embarrassed by the Houston Texans, okay? Let me say that one more time. If Herbert was so great, he wouldn't have been embarrassed by the lowly Houston Texans. Chargers beat the Broncos 34-13. Eagles, Washington, two teams in the worst division in the NFL, battling it out. Eagles on an uptick. Eventually, they're going to get there. It ain't going to be this season. They're definitely on the upswing. Hopefully, they can make the right moves in the offseason, but they did beat the Washington football team barely 20-16. And the Eagles, in all honesty, should have been able to win by a larger margin. I get it. It's a divisional game. Worst division in football. Washington just got blown up by the lowly Cowboys. Eagles should have been able to do the same thing. Lions, Seahawks. Crazy game. Seahawks handled their business like they should have, blowing up the Lions 51-29. But I'm not impressed with that Seahawks defense that, as of, a couple of weeks prior to this one, had been playing better, because the Lions should not have been able to put 29 up on them. It's the Lions. All right? It's the Lions. They should not have been able to put 29 up on that Seahawks defense. But, again, a big, impressive victory for the Seahawks, the team that the national media wants you to believe is going to say goodbye to their coach and their quarterback at the end of the season, and I don't think either one's going to happen. Again, Seahawks beat the Lions 51-29. 49ers, Texans. I was just talking about the Texans a few minutes ago, right? They blew up the Chargers, because Justin Herbert, he's so great. That's why he was able to get embarrassed. And even though he got embarrassed last week, they still talk about him as if he's so picture perfect and so great. But folks, again, Herbert, average, not good, not below average, but not great. 49ers did what the Chargers cannot do. Beat the Texans with a backup quarterback 23-7. And since we're talking about quarterbacks, this is the game where all the national media guys were jumping all over it, saying that Trey Lance is now going to, from this point moving forward, be the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. That he was going to take over. Jimmy G was never going to get his job back. And this is it. Guess what? They also said how great Trey Lance is. They also said how they were so ready because they had heard so much about all the practices and great practices and everything that Shanahan said. And what did I say last week? They have to say all those things about him in practice because he was about to be the starting quarterback. So they had to make the Texans and everybody else in the NFL think that they have a lot of confidence in Trey Lance. What I saw yesterday was exactly what I knew we would see. Trey Lance still not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And it was obvious because he had a tough time against the Texans. Don't let the stats mislead you. He did not have a great game. He had a better second half than the first, but it still wasn't great. It still wasn't anything to get excited about. And I still want Jimmy G back against the Rams on Sunday, because if Trey Lance is a starting quarterback, then you know what? It's going to be a 50-50 toss-up as to whether the 49ers can beat the Rams on Sunday, because the Rams need the win as much as the 49ers do. And if Jimmy Garoppolo is not the starting quarterback on Sunday and Trey Lance is the starting quarterback, it's going to be a 50-50 toss-up whether they could beat the Rams, because the 49ers are the better team, but with Jimmy Garoppolo. With Trey Lance, they're nowhere near as good of an offense. Fact, not fiction. You just saw it when they had a hard time putting it on the Houston Texans yesterday, because had that been Jimmy G, it wouldn't have been this tough. It wouldn't have been this bad. Panthers, Saints. Saints beat the Panthers. Two bad teams. Nobody really cares. 18-10, even though the Saints do have kind of a slight shot at making the playoffs. It's slight, probably not realistic, but nonetheless, they won 18-10. Vikings, Packers. Packers did what they're supposed to do. Blew up the Vikings 37-10. Now let's move on to the other game. Cardinals, Cowboys. A lot of stuff said about this game as well. Oh, man, a lot of stuff. First of all, Cowboys, I thought the offense was fixed. I thought Dak Prescott was supposed to be back. I thought we saw what the offense is according to the national media when they blew up the Washington football team. No, it's exactly what I said it was. What did I say last week? I said Washington lost that game to Dallas because, A, yes, Dallas is the better team. However, Washington played a game on Tuesday, was expected to play another game on Sunday, got no practices in between, and they had a player get in a fatal car crash on Friday, which now mentally took them out of a game that they already physically were kind of out of, because they just got done playing a game on Tuesday and being told they got to play a game on Sunday, and it's a division game as well. So, Cowboys and that number one high-scoring offense, which we're going to talk about that tomorrow, and I am going to dispel Look, here's the thing. Numbers can be misleading. Stats can be misleading. National media loves to use stats, loves to use numbers to mislead you into thinking something that is absolutely fictitious. The Cardinals have, or I should say, the Cowboys having the number one most powerful, high-scoring offense in the NFL is not true. Not even close. Numbers wise, yes. But when I break it down to you tomorrow, you're going to understand why it is not true when they say the Cowboys have the most potent offense in the NFL. First of all, if they did, they would have beat up on the lowly Cardinals, who were on a 3-game losing streak. All right? And they lost 5 out of the last 8. So if the Cowboys offense was really that good, then they would have beat the Cardinals. Secondly, you could just look at that offense yesterday and see how bad, first of all, of a quarterback Dak Prescott is. I said this for a long time. Overhyped, overpromoted. He underdelivers because he's average. He's not good. He's not great. He's average. That's what Dak Prescott is. Now, he can win you games, absolutely. But Dak Prescott is an average quarterback. He's not excellent. He's not top 5. Don't listen to the national media and the mistruths that they want to feed you and trying to tell you how great Dak Prescott is and how you need to look at him because he is great. No, he's not. He's nowhere near. I laugh. They make themselves look bad as something that these guys do for a living. They make themselves look bad when they talk about Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and then they try to put Dak Prescott in the same conversation. No, sorry, not even near the same classification. Not even close to the same classification. Nowhere near the same classification. You want to know what Dak Prescott is? He's Tony Romo. Dak Prescott is Tony Romo. Great stats, great in between the 20s. Can't win you playoff games, never going to win you a Super Bowl. Dak Prescott is exactly what Tony Romo was. They traded Tony Romo for another version of Tony Romo. That's all they did. That is simply all they did. And the Cowboys, that offense is horrific, horrendous. And the play calling from this offensive coordinator who's supposed to be on everybody's short list for coaching positions, that guy, he's horrible. He's average at best. I won't call him horrible. He's average at best. He's not great. He's not excellent. I don't see anything in the play calling or in the offense that looks great. He doesn't have a Mike Shanahan offense. He doesn't have a Sean McVay offense. He's got an average college, almost the same as Cliff Kingsbury offense, except Cliff throws it too much and doesn't know how to run the ball, has no balance, and he doesn't have the players to run the ball. Again, and the Cardinals, thinking their defense did a great job against the Cowboys. No, you just played against a weak offense that, again, is nowhere near the fake stats where they try to tell you that they're one of the most potent offenses. Again, a great selling point. They're going to try and sell you on it. But the Cardinals defense did nothing spectacular, nothing special, not at all. Dak Prescott and that lack of a run game lost that game for the Cowboys. Not to mention the referees and all those whistles, way too many whistles. It's amazing. Cardinals got away with a lot of holds. Cowboys got called for every one they did. And they probably made a few up. But they definitely called the Cowboys for every hold. And I saw a bunch that they missed on the Cardinals. Amazing how that happened. Normally it's the other way around when you're talking about home team versus visitors. But it was designated for the Cardinals to win this game. You could see it. The way the refs were blowing the whistles on the Cowboys every 5 seconds. They were destined to be against the Cowboys. For some reason, somebody wanted the Cardinals to win that game yesterday. But this was two horrible offenses, two average quarterbacks. Kyler Murray's regressing. He's getting worse as the season goes on. I don't know what to think about Kyler Murray anymore. I really don't. He's an average quarterback. He is a starting quarterback in the NFL, just like Dak Prescott's a starting quarterback in the NFL. But neither one of them are superstars. Neither one of them is great as the national media tries to feed you. And for all the stuff that I heard about, oh, the Cardinals did this and their offense, they could do whatever they wanted. No, they couldn't. They barely did anything in the first half, and they got, what, nothing almost in the second half. Nothing special, nothing spectacular. They weren't moving the ball at will. The Cowboys were still able to stop, again, offense that's not very good in the Cardinals. It's just that the Cowboys made so many mistakes that it gave the Cardinals so many chances that finally they cashed them in. And then eventually the Cardinals started to fall apart and the Cowboys started to cash them in. And that was, and I quote, that was a I know Colin Cowherd went on Twitter, tried to tell everybody it wasn't a fumble. But again, we're talking about Colin Cowherd here. Mr. I get it wrong all the time. That was clearly a fumble by the Cardinals. That was clearly a Cowboy recovery. And there should have been one more opportunity for the Cowboys to march down the field and either tie the game or win the game. But the referees blew that call. As clear as day, the referees blew that call. And the Cowboys should have had one more chance to either tie the game or win the game. National media loves to act like there is never any drama in football. I love how they try to do that. Oh, no, referees never get it wrong. Oh, no, the referees never determine winner or loser. Yes, they do. And this is another example, another blown call where the Cowboys should have, and I'm not a Cowboy homer, I'm not a Cowboy fan. You see the hat I'm wearing on my head if you're watching the video. I'm a 49er fan, but common sense tells you that was a Cardinal fumble. That was clearly a Cowboy recovery. Cowboys should have had one more opportunity to go down the field and either tie it or win it. Not to mention it would have put them in great field position, so there's no doubt they would have at least got a shot to tie the game. So, again, referees blowing games like they always do. It's getting a little annoying. But again, the Cowboys lost the game more than the Cardinals won the game. Both offenses are not very good, but the Cardinals had more opportunities because the Cowboys just kept giving it away. And what happened to those great running backs that the national media kept telling you about the Cowboys, how they have the greatest wide receiver core. They got the greatest running backs. They got the greatest defense. They got the greatest quarterback. And yet they only had one good game against the team that played on Tuesday, had to play again on Sunday, and had a player get in a fatal car crash on that Friday, which mentally took them out of the game. And supposedly we were supposed to believe that that was the comeback game, even though I said, no, it's not. But they wanted you to believe that's the comeback game. There it is. And here they are, not able to do anything again against the Cardinals. Folks, knee-jerk reactions is why I listen to the national media just to hear what they say. But let's be honest, their credibility is out the window. All right, now, when I go through these news stories I'm about to go through with you, let me first and foremost tell you, purposely, I have not read any of these stories before doing this. I think it's best that we go through it live, go through it together, and then, we can kind of get our own sense of what we think about the story. Yeah, a few minutes ago, I was talking about, Tampa Bay, the Bucks, Bruce Arians, Antonio Brown, Bruce Arians screaming, Antonio Brown's no longer a Buck. But here's the thing. Before I read this story, let me give you a different take that I have not heard anybody else take yet, because this is where I'm surprised. Let's start with when Tampa Bay got Antonio Brown to go play with them. They all knew about the baggage. They all knew about the problems. They all knew about his history. How could they not? Start there. Now, when you get somebody with that kind of baggage, you make the exceptions that you make. You let Antonio Brown on your team, and I have forever said that he shouldn't even be in the NFL. However, yesterday, even though I still believe Antonio Brown should not be in the NFL, yesterday made me say this is one of those times where I'm going to have to stick up for Antonio Brown. Now, keep in mind, I don't know 100% of what happened yesterday, but I have heard a lot of what the story is, and we're going to read through this particular story together. But here's my take that I think is different from everybody else's, which is, again, you had to know about the baggage that you were going to be taking on when Antonio Brown joined Tampa Bay. You had to know. There's no doubt about it. There's no disputing it. So with knowing that, doesn't that mean you would have to treat Antonio Brown just a little bit differently? So when Antonio Brown, for the second time, is telling Coach Arians that he doesn't want to go in the game, wouldn't it make more sense for Coach Arians to have a conversation with Antonio and ask him why he doesn't want to go in the game, what seems to be the issue, instead of copying an ego, because Arians is an ego. Arians has a huge ego, and he has a bigger ego than he does the ability to coach in the NFL. Make no mistake about that. So Mr. I know it all about football, Mr. Egotistical, just tells him to get out. This is a guy who, again, we know has a history, and we know it's a mental history. We know this. Everybody knows this. Tom Brady, in his presser after the game, pretty much alluded to the fact. Everybody, whether you're a fan or somebody who's been in the locker room with him, everybody knows Antonio Brown has some kind of a mental issue. There's no doubt about it. So instead of having a conversation and asking him what the issue is, and maybe just sitting him down for the rest of the game because it's just one of those days that's just not happening, he tells him to get out. And then Antonio Brown reacts accordingly, because when you got somebody with issues like Antonio has, how can you not expect the antics that he did when he left? So what I'm saying is, I don't blame Antonio Brown for the antics he did when he left, and I don't blame him for ripping off his uniform and bouncing out the way that he did. I blame Bruce Arians for copping an ego and acting like a jerk when you know somebody has some mental issues, and it would have made more sense knowing that, having a conversation and asking him what's wrong. Take a couple of minutes and have a conversation. Instead, he cops an ego because that's what Bruce Arians does, and he tells him to get out. Had that been one of Bruce Arians' kids, and had that kid been known for having mental challenges, do you think Bruce Arians would rip him a new one if he didn't do what he was told? Or do you think Bruce Arians would have a conversation? It's called common sense, something Bruce Arians seriously lacks. I never liked him as a Cardinal coach. I've never liked him as a coach. He takes a lot of credit for things he has nothing to do with. Luck, Roethlisberger. He takes a lot of credit for stuff that he has nothing to do with. Likes to call himself a quarterback whisperer. What happened to Jameis Winston if you're such a quarterback whisperer, Bruce Arians? Why did you have to go get Tom Brady? How did you have anything to do with building Andrew Luck? He was already great before he got to you. How did you have anything to do with Big Ben? He was already great before he got to you. And by the way, you weren't the head coach of either one of those teams when those quarterbacks became great. So how do you get the credit for that? And then you also try to take the credit for Carson Palmer in one season that he has good with the Arizona Cardinals, but yet you were the head coach there. So whoever was the quarterback's coach for the Cardinals doesn't get the credit. You try to take the credit because you're an egotistical, and I won't say the second word, but you guys know what I'm alluding to, because you have an ego and you want to take credit for things that you have absolutely nothing to do with. You didn't develop Luck. You didn't develop Roethlisberger, and you had nothing to do with Carson Palmer and his one lucky rabbit season that he had with the Cardinals. And if you were so great, again, why did Jameis Winston look just as bad under you as he looked before you? And why did you have to go get Tom Brady to be your quarterback to finally win a Super Bowl? So maybe, Bruce Arians, you should lose your ego and learn a humility. And we'll just stop there and go to the story. So here's the story. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Antonio Brown erupted in frustration on the visitor sideline at MetLife Stadium on Sunday, leaving the field in the third quarter with Coach Bruce Arians proclaiming after the game that he's no longer a member of the team. Now, Bruce Arians says this after the Bucs win 28-24, and of course, it was against the Jets, and they struggled like crazy. That's the end of the story. He said, let's talk about the guys that went out there and won the game. Again, Mr. Egotistical wants to make it all about him, right? But the reality is, if you're a parent, if you're a coach, and you have somebody with the challenges that Antonio faces on the daily, would you scream at them or would you talk to them? I guarantee you 9 out of 10 people would be like, I'll have a conversation. I won't scream and act like a jerk like Bruce Arians did. That's my take of this whole thing. I blame that whole episode on Bruce Arians and his ego, just like, again, proving his ego is easy when he tries to take credit for Ben Roethlisberger, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, takes none of the responsibility for Jameis Winston, had to get Tom Brady so he could finally win a Super Bowl. Yeah, Bruce Arians, you are really a quarterback whisperer, dude. Give me a break. You're an idiot. All right, moving on. Dan Reeves, former NFL coach, he died at the age of 77. Unfortunately, Seems like a little bit of a trend here for the NFL. Again, condolences go out to the family, the friends, former coaches and players who played with him. From what I understand, he was a great man. Dan Reeves, again, died at the age of 77. So, Cleveland Cavaliers, according to the Four Letter Network, acquired Rajon Rondo in a trade with the LA Lakers. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they agreed to trade Denzel Valentine to the LA Lakers in exchange for Rajon Rondo, and the Lakers are expected to waive Valentine's partially guaranteed deal and create an open roster spot. Rondo is eager for the chance to play a bigger role with the ascending Cavaliers. Look, I don't know how this is going to work out for the Lakers. I could tell you that the Cavs are going to do very well with this trade. The Cavs are a great team. I have been impressed with them all year long. I've said it 100 times over. They seem to be getting better every day. And if they made the move to get Rajon Rondo, obviously they see a chance for them to do some stuff now. I don't blame them. I think it's going to happen because they are absolutely playing some good ball, some impressive ball, and I am impressed with what the Cavaliers have going on. And in this story, it was only a matter of time before this happened. I haven't read the story yet. Let me make sure I get that out there really quickly. I have not read the story yet, but it was only a matter of time. As always, somebody's got to badmouth somebody who's got a great reputation. So this is the headline from this particular story. It says, Texas professor claims Madden NFL games dehumanized black athletes. All right, let's go and read the story now. The Madden NFL video game franchise promoted by legendary NFL coach John Madden dehumanized black athletes and helped create a digital plantation, a college professor claimed this week. Andrew McGregor, who teaches history at Dallas College in Texas, further claimed that Madden profited off of black athletic labor and glamorized the violence inherited in the game. Since posting the comments Tuesday, the same day Madden died at age 85, the professor, who is white, has locked his Twitter account. Yeah, big shock. Dude, you're an idiot. I don't even know. Normally I'm not this guy. I don't normally do this. But this is a college professor, by the way. All right? He's supposed to be well educated. You're an idiot. You're an absolute moron. Open up your Twitter account so you can take the beating that you should take because you are an idiot. Absolute idiot. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Stupid, retarded, dumb. You are an idiot. There's no two ways around it. All right. Moving on. Getting away from the idiot story, but I had to tell you about it because it was only a matter of time before somebody came up with something stupid, and I was like, here's the dumb story. I'm just going to tell it. There is a Power 36 for college basketball. I just want to read through it with you really quickly. I'm excited about a couple of teams that I really like. So let's go with coming in at number 36. We got Loyola Chicago, number 35 TCU, 34 Northwestern, 33 Creighton, 32 Xavier, number 31 Michigan, number 30 Alabama, number 29 Davidson, number 28 UConn, number 27 Wisconsin, number 26 Texas, number 25 Oklahoma, number 24 Wake Forest. Coming in at number 23, we got Tennessee. Coming in at number 22, Villanova. Number 21, Illinois. Number 20, Minnesota. Number 19, LSU. Number 18, Providence. Number 17, Colorado State. Number 16, Houston. Number 15, West Virginia. Number 14, Auburn. Depends on how you say it. Some people say Auburn. Some people say Auburn. Number 13, Michigan State. Number 12, Iowa State. Number 11, USC. And now one of my personal favorites, the one that I follow the most, University of Arizona coming in ranked number 10. Kentucky number 9. Seton Hall number 8. Ohio State number 7. UCLA number 6. Kansas number 5. Gonzaga number 4. Purdue number 3. Another one of my fun favorites, Duke number 2. I'm an Arizona fan, but I've always respected Duke, of course, Coach K. And number 1, Baylor. So there is your Power 36 for college basketball. Now, here's another one that I have not read. I heard a little bit about this, but I never really heard the whole story. Haven't read the story. As I stated before I started going into the story mode, we're going through them together for the first time. You might have heard about this story prior to me talking about this now, but I just thought it was interesting. Browns Baker Mayfield talks death threats, social media negativity after his wife's post. So the story goes, Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield on Thursday opened up about the death threats he and his wife Emily have received over social media because of football. Emily Mayfield made the initial revelation on her Instagram account. It's crazy how much negativity is amplified via social media. If you're just learning that, don't know what to tell you, because that is something everybody should have known for a long time. But with that being said, the story goes on with, I'm still a believer that there's more good people out there than bad, but wow, the social media make me think otherwise sometimes, which plays into why I love to spread positivity. Our world needs more of it. The death threats, lies being told about my husband, and blatant disrespect never ceases to amaze me. For the record, I pray for those of you who even think those thoughts, let alone type them out. I hope you could find some happiness so you could stop trying to steal it from others. Baker Mayfield was asked about it when he was addressing the media before the Browns game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which has a lot of playoff implications on the line. It's hard for me to say not to listen to it because I have quite a bit of experience of hearing a lot of opinions outside coming in, he said. It's hard when it comes down to somebody that you love and you care about. She's not able to change any of the outcomes of the games at all. It's just one of those things that we are all just in a world today in society that there are a lot of keyboard warriors who make empty threats and things like that, which is quite honestly ignorant when they go after people who are not directly involved in football. Okay, so this story seems to go on and really doesn't say where these threats emanate from or why they exist. But again, the one thing that is key, the one thing that is theme, and it's one thing I've said a lot, especially on my radio show, which is there are a lot of keyboard warriors who say a lot of things. They talk a lot of stuff they can't back up, and there really is no reason to be that way. You can have an opinion, but death threats, seriously? I mean, come on, folks. That's just crazy. Tonight, speaking of the matchup between the Browns and Pittsburgh, obviously playoff implications are definitely up in the air for both these teams. A lot of talk about this being Big Ben's last home game. Whether it is or isn't, me personally, I don't care. I think he should have retired 6-7 years ago. I think the Steelers should have moved off him 6-7 years ago. He's been regressing for a while. The fact that they're barely noticing it now, I find hilarious. But Pittsburgh has this loyalty thing. They hang on to the same coach, even though the playoffs don't happen, even though Super Bowls don't happen. They hang on to the same quarterback, even though playoffs don't happen, Super Bowls don't happen. He gets worse. They don't seem to care. They got this loyalty thing going on there. And, you know, I'm not here to tell a company how to run or a football team how to do their thing, but I would have moved off him a long time ago. I think even though Vegas has the Browns as not being favored against the Steelers, they're underdogs, and I have a hard time believing it and swallowing it, but I think the Browns are going to upset the Steelers, upset Vegas, and upset a lot of Steeler fans because even though you guys want to believe the hype about, you know, Pittsburgh wants to send Big Ben out as a winner, you can want to send him out as a winner all you want to. The bottom line is you're not good enough to, and they're going to lose tonight to the Cleveland Browns. I will be shocked if anything outside of that takes place. With that being said, that does it for today's show. We'll talk again tomorrow. Got a lot of stories to go over, some that I held back, and we're definitely going to break down that alleged rumor, lie, misnomer that the national media keeps trying to feed you about the Dallas Cowboys having the number one most potent offense in the NFL. That is not a fact. I will prove it tomorrow, so I will talk to you then.